Testing 1, 2, 3. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse, starting in a few seconds. Absolutely typical. Just as I was about to go live, the camera decided to cut out, but it has recovered. Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse, the very first stream of 2026. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. There's a lot of tired eyes out there today. I hope you're all doing incredibly well. As you can see, I am not joined by the Oracle. He was singing Africa by Toto at 2 o'clock this morning. So he has not managed to join me. But that doesn't mean we don't have a show. It was prepared yesterday, and I am going to give it to you today. What we're going to talk about on the first day of January 2026, we're going to talk about Bitcoin. Now, if you've been watching any of our shows over Christmas and New Year's Eve, we've talked about Christmas past, Christmas present, and Christmas future. And today, I'm going to give you some picks. I'm going to go through Bitcoin to start with. Then I'm going to go through DeFi Llama a little bit. And I'm going to go through revenue generating. Now, if you're new here and you've never watched us before, we have been talking about revenue generating crypto projects for 3 years now, maybe a little bit longer. Projects that make money, projects that make revenue. And my 5 picks today all make money. And I've got a 6th pick, which currently doesn't make any money, that we're going to go through as well. So I'm going to give you 6 cryptocurrencies today, and not one of them is in the top 10. So I've picked 6 projects which are not the usual ones you'd expect me to pick. You know, there's no Ethereum, there's no Bitcoin, there's no Solana. They're altcoin picks. And I thought, you know, I could sit here and talk about Bitcoin till the cows come home, but I'm trying to give you a little bit of something different. Now, good morning to Daniel, Vivek, Hidden. I hope you're all doing well. There hasn't been a quiz for a few weeks. We did do the the Wolfies quiz. We were going to do a New Year's Eve quiz. We're going to do lots of things, but the long and short of it is I had an eye operation on the 9th and the 11th of December. The Oracle didn't get back from Dubai until the 15th of December. We simply ran out of time to do everything we wanted to do. But the most important thing we wanted to do this year was stream on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, which, as you can see, we are 4 for 4. So that was more important to us because we want to be here. You know, there are a lot of people that don't like Christmas. There's a lot of people that don't like New Year. There's a lot of people on their own. So we're here today for the people that are on their own. And we give them a kind of a familiar face, a familiar voice to listen to and watch. Good morning, Solo Sky. Happy New Year to everybody. Villain Bear, Happy New Year to you as well. So, 6 picks, and we're going to talk about Bitcoin. That's the plan for today. And as I said, the Oracle is probably still asleep because a part of me is still asleep. Part of me is not here today. But it's 2026 and it's a new year. It's not really a new year, new me. It's same me. You know, when you've been around the sun 50 odd times, you don't really make that many changes. Of course, you all want to make changes, and that's absolutely fine. If you've got New Year's resolutions, that's absolutely fine. But don't leave it to one day in the year to make a change to your life. If you want to change the way that you eat, want to change the way that you exercise, you do it today or you do it tomorrow, whichever day you can fit it in. That's simple. But we're going to go on and have a look at Bitcoin. 87,600 for Bitcoin. Ethereum coming below just under $3,000. XRP coming in at 184. It's been there now for a considerable amount of time. Solana's coming in at just under 125. Cardano is sitting there in 10th place. And I tell you something, Cardano looks as if it is about to be overtaken by Bitcoin Cash. There's been a lot of movement at the bottom of this table. If you look, you've got Leo and Hype, and you've got Chainlink and Bitcoin Cash. They're all kind of coming in at about 8 to 9 billion, with, of course, Bitcoin Cash coming in a little bit higher. So it looks to me as if Cardano is going to lose its top 10 position. Doge seems to be safe for now, but Doge is starting to lose a lot of steam. Maybe Doge, maybe the dog days are over, potentially. But that's not looking good. Zcash is coming in there as well as Monero, the two privacy coins that have done exceptionally well at the end of 2025. Zcash was at what, $40, $50, $60 maybe summertime, I think, and then had the incredible run up. Excuse me. So that's where we are. That's where we finished the year. And what I really want to talk about is the journey that Bitcoin has had. That's what we're going to go on to next. Gainers then, Canton is up, Leo is up, ICP is up, Pump.fun is up, PancakeSwap, Memecore. There's a few gainers, and I imagine I'll have a look at the trading volume in a minute, but I don't imagine it's going to be an awful lot. Lighter is down. That's the other kind of DEX that people have been talking about, Aster and Hype as well. Humanity, Injective, Chills, Trump, Uniswap, Tezos, Knight, Virtuals is down, Ondo is down. Ondo at 36 cents for 2026. Unbelievable. Polygon below 10 cents. It's almost below $1 billion. Sandeep is going to have to do something there. FET at 20 cents. FET at one point last year was what? $3, $4, $5? Horrific. Cardano is down. So there's a lot of losers today. I am just keeping an eye on chat as well. What coins did a 5x last year, Villain Bear? No idea. You'll have to go and watch a different stream. That's not what I'm here about to talk to you about today. Manjeet, good morning to you. Happy New Year. I hope you're doing incredibly well. A very fine morning today. Hope you're all having a good day. We are having a good day. We are. Well, I'm having a good day. I think the Oracle is having a better day because the Oracle is actually probably still asleep, enjoying his sleep. And I am more than likely going to go back to bed after this stream. And no promises, but there we go. Now, what we're looking at here, this is the journey of Bitcoin in 2025. And I thought I would start here. We came into the year at around about we came into the year at $92,400. That's where we came into the year. 92.4 we came in. Then January the 19th was inauguration day for Donald Trump. We wicked up to 109,000. That was the big one. That was Trump coming into power after having Biden for what felt like eternity. And then we had this. This was the buy the rumor, sell the news. This was after the Trump inauguration, where we fell to pretty much our lowest point of the year, which was at about 75,000. That fall shook out the entire market because we went from 109 to 74. That was what? That was almost what was that? That was about a 35% drawdown. And then between April and, of course, October, we had 6 months of pretty decent upward action, with the bears calling it down for 6 entire months. And the bears were wrong for 6 entire months. We had the 6-month run topping out at the end of, well, not the end, sorry, the middle of October is where we topped out. And then we've had probably the most brutal end to a bull run year we've ever had, where even back in 2021, we had a relief rally, which we haven't seen yet. So we had a great middle 2 quarters of 2025. Not so good first quarter, terrible fourth quarter, but quarter 2 and quarter 3, not too bad. Now, I've been talking about this relief rally for probably now most of December. And a relief rally is not talking up here. A relief rally is talking down here. Now, the moving average, the bull market support band, that was at $102,000, $103,000. That's where I said we would come up to, bounce off, and then come down again. Now, you will see, as of today, as of the 1st of January 2026, the bottom of that bull market support band is now pretty much dead on $100,000. So, whereas back here, I was talking about going up here and coming down, I think we could get the relief rally to $100,000. And then I think we will start to come down again. But I do think this will come. I don't think it's going to come in the first few days of January, simply because we don't have the momentum. We don't have the trading volume. That's what I would say to that. So we're going to start the year as we mean to continue. So that's where we started the year. We're down probably $4,000. We're down 5% to where we were this time last year. And what I expect, just to give you some ideas, I think we spoke a lot about this yesterday. I'm going to put a line in the sand about there. So the May bottom, that's what I think I'm going to be talking about, is Jerome Powell is on a 4-year contract, if for want of a better word. He's on a 4-year contract with the Federal Reserve, and he is going to be stepping down this year. Now, the 4 years ends in May. So May 2026, Powell steps down. And the rumours are that Trump is trying to sack him in January. That's the rumours. Now, the issue is that Powell is... They've never removed a Federal Reserve chair, and they can only do it. When we covered this, I think, back in maybe July, June time, that you can only get rid of him if he can prove gross misconduct, gross incompetence, and I don't think he's going to be able to do that. It's going to go through the courts. So I don't know how he's going to do it. He could pressurize him, yes. He could bribe him, yes. He could do all of those things. But the point of the matter is, I don't think he can go until May, I think. So the relief rally, which is not going to start today, if we get one, I think is going to take us somewhere in the region of 98, 99,000. And then I think we're going to come down to this area. Now, there's a lot of people telling you that we're going to go to $30,000 or $40,000. And I spoke to the Oracle yesterday about this. Now, this up here, this bull market top, which happened kind of summertime towards October, this was not peak euphoria. We didn't have retail. We didn't have a blow-off top. We didn't even reach my target. My target was $140,000 to $150,000. That was my target. And we can split hairs about this, and I can tell you that my target was $114,000 for the end of the bull run. And that was my target from 2.5 years ago that I changed when we broke it. But I was very, very conservative of where I thought Bitcoin was going to go. And I changed my opinion when we started to break above my price target. And we, in the end, we went about 10% above my 2-year target for Bitcoin. However, if we don't get the blow-off top, we don't get the mass capitulation. I was talking to the Oracle about this yesterday. There is nobody to sell if nobody buys. That's the easiest way to describe it. If you think about this, okay, the happy clappers that get us into this range here, okay, so the people that get us into this range here, right, let's call them noobs. That's supposed to be an N. These are noobs, Okay, newbies, people coming to crypto, buying on the TradFi apps, people that want to buy it because they think it's cool and trendy. They did not buy. Now, you could argue, by all means, that it doesn't matter because Bitcoin went twice as high as it did in 2021. You can argue the fact that it's now too big a market cap. You can argue the fact that the ETFs are now the conduit for newbies. You can argue all of those points, and on some of them you're probably right. But my argument would be this. If there is no peak euphoria, there is no peak capitulation at the bottom. And I'm going to stick by that. Because here's another thing. If we go with a 4-year cycle, and we did come up here, my 4-year cycle would have us down at about that price there, which is the previous all-time high. So the 4-year cycle is very simple. We peak at whatever price it might be. Diminishing returns had us at 114,000. That was my original target. We then went to 126,000. I thought we'd go to 140, 150. We never got the blow off top. We talked about the macro. We know all of those things. Now, because we didn't go up so high, we don't come down so low. So, because of that, I mean, the American economy, you have half the crowd telling you that we're about to go into a multi-year recession in America. And then you've got half the crowd pointing at the fact that GDP is up. Tariffs are bringing in more money. Inflation isn't spiking too ridiculously high. Trump seems to have everything under control because other countries are absorbing some of what Trump is trying to do. So Trumpism seems to be working. So I think that's going to be somewhere near our bottom, which is about 74,500. Remember, we're not really splitting hairs, but I'm talking about 70,000, 65,000 off the back of peak euphoria. We don't have peak euphoria. So because we don't have peak euphoria, I don't think there's enough to slam us all the way to the downside. So I think 74, 75,000, even if we break 80,000, I think that's another... What's that? That's another 7.5. No, that's another 10, 12, 13% from where we are now. Something like that. I think that's it. So, as I said to you a few weeks ago, I think the majority of this move is done. The second thing to bear in mind is this. We're going to mark it from the top. Okay. October the 6th. 7th, 8th, 5th, whatever the number is, it doesn't matter. That's the top. Just checking, sorry. So, November, December, January. We're already potentially halfway through the minimum requirement for the bear market. But I don't think we're just going to end on March and start to go up to the top. I think it's all going to coincide with Chairman Powell, which is about here, around this level here. So that's pretty much what I think. It's going to do one of those two things. Relief rally, maybe in January, then we're going to go down. Now, if Powell gets sacked, if Powell resigns, if anything that happens in January, we may not even come down here. We may just start to do that. Okay? Because I don't think we're going to finish the year below where we are today. So we started the year at 92,000. We're at 87, 88,000 today. I think we're going to get a green year. And I don't think we're going to get a green year and be at new all-time highs, which is what a lot of people seem to think, that Bitcoin is just going to do that this year. Okay? I don't think that at all. I do think we will sidle down. We will have the midterms, and then we will start to go back up. And maybe we finish the year between 95 and 100,000. That's what I think Bitcoin is going to do this year. And the problem is, you've all got PTSD. And the reason you have PTSD is because of this. And this was the bear market that we sat through with you guys that went on from November 2021, I would say, until about October 2023. So we had about 2 years of a bear market. Now, what happened to give us such a brutal bear market was money printing. We came out the back of COVID. We had the FTX collapse. We had Celsius collapse. We had Luna collapse. We had brutal black swans. 3 black swans, 4 black swans if you count the macro. So we had all of these black swans, and it absolutely killed crypto. And we were down here for what felt like forever. But we don't have that this time. What we have is we have the amount of money coming into the system going up. We have the interest rates coming down. We have a new Fed chairman, by the way, who is called, let's see if I can type this in and you can see the colour here. Give me 1 second. So this is the guy that's going to be coming in. He is called Kevin, right? So we've got Kevin. Money going in, interest rates coming down, and Kevin. So we've got a completely different 180 to what we had in the bear market 3 years ago. Completely different. Instead of going down, instead of having contraction, instead of having inflation and all these kind of things, we're coming out of that period, and now we're going into the period of the bear market where we had the bull market in the last cycle. So it's 180 degrees. So I can't see a $50,000 Bitcoin. I can't see a $50,000 Bitcoin this year. We'd need a black swan. And there are plenty of black swans. We can talk about Taiwan. We can talk about the Eastern Europe. You've got to be very, very careful what you say. The Middle East. All of these things are black swans, which can get us down there, absolutely. Right, let us move on. So that's Bitcoin in a nutshell for where I think we're going to go. And now we're going to move on and talk a little bit about what the stream was about today. And that is, we're going to be talking about revenue generation. Now, this is DeFi Llama. If you don't know what DeFi Llama is, it's like an on-chain analytics tool. It's completely free to use. It's not affiliated with any particular exchange. It's a very, very valuable tool. And what this does, and I'm hoping this fits on the screen. It does fit on the screen. Yeah. Okay. So my head is blocking a lot of the data. So I'll just make sure I'll scroll up when I talk about these. So what this shows you is this shows you the revenue by a 24-hour, a 7-day, and a 30-day period by the different projects in crypto. And we can order this by any column we want. But if we look at 30 days as an example. Now, my strategy for 2023, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28 is always look at businesses that make a revenue and in turn, hopefully then make a profit. And a business should exist to do two things. It should add value to you, so it should exist to benefit you, and it should be self-sustaining. It should be able to sustain itself with the revenue it generates. That's pretty much it. That's a business in a nutshell. Make enough money to make a profit and survive, and provide you with a service that you want. Now, stable coins dominate. Number one and number two are Circle. USDT and USDC, they are the two largest revenue generating projects in crypto. Now, also, these prices, these numbers here, they're rules of thumb. They're not 100% accurate. Tether and Circle, those numbers might be slightly out, but this is more kind of the on-chain revenue that they generate. Now, what I want to talk about down here are these groups of projects down here, okay? And this is the projects, the independent projects from the stablecoin. So these are real life projects generating revenue right now on various different blockchains. And number 3 is Hyperliquid and Hype Token. That has generated $57.4 million in a month. Annualized, what's that? $650 million, maybe. So 2/3 of $1 billion in revenue. I imagine quite a lot of that is profit. Then you have the much maligned Pump.Fun. That's brought in $31.75 million in the last 30 days. Again, annualized, you're talking about nearly $400 million. Then you have Tron, Edge, Grayscale, believe it or not, is down there at 14.8 million. Other recognizable names is Jupiter, Phantom, Lighter, which is the platform which everybody's talking about with regards to Hype, with regards to Aster. Light has entered that conversation. Aave is in there, Meteora, Aerodrome is in there. Now, irrespective of what I give you as picks for my coins, the one thing to do, and I'm going to drop this into chat now, the one thing I would advise all of you to do that are watching is, and I can't drop this into the Binance Square chat, by the way, because I think it'll just block the address, but I've dropped it onto YouTube. I want you to go and use that link, defilama.com/revenue. I want you to do that to try and find projects that generate a revenue that you can buy through Binance or wherever else you want to buy them. That would be my goal. Now, if we talk about the projects that we as Crypto Warehouse have championed, if you like, over the last few years, Jupiter in 11th position is one of our favorite projects. Now, a project's potential, a project's revenue, a project's profits, whatever you want to look at, does not necessarily match with the value of the token, and you have to separate them. Jupiter on here, Aerodrome on here, Meteora on here, Aave, Pump, Hype tokens, all of these tokens have followed Bitcoin to the downside. Right? That is something that you have to bear in mind. So when we talk about these projects, these are the numbers, these are the revenue numbers you should be paying attention to, not the price of the token, because guess what? Bitcoin comes down 10%, Pump will drop 40%, Hype will drop 25%, Grayscale, well, not Grayscale, let's pick another one, Jupiter will drop another 25%. So these projects still make revenue. They're still here. They're still generating these numbers. So the DeFi Llama platform, you should sit here and go, okay, well, what makes the most money? What makes the most money? What's the projects that I'm invested in? What tokens do I hold? If you're holding tokens in projects that don't make any money, how do they exist? How do they exist without generating a revenue? Ask yourself that question. Now, some of the projects that are in my top 5 picks for 2026 are actually on this list. Of course they are, because that's the criteria that I set aside. So what I've tried to do is have 3 simple rules for my tokens: revenue generating, real world use, and growth potential. Now, real world use is on-off ramping, it's real world assets, it's something that can be replicated on the blockchain, it's all of those things in one. So real world use, revenue generating, and growth potential. They were my 3 kind of guides for what I was going to go with. Now, we're going to start with the largest one first. Excuse me. And this is the token which, again, when we created a portfolio in January 2023, and this was the very first project. Now, I can't have a portfolio without this project, and that project is Chainlink. Now, there's a lot of there's a lot of boring things in crypto, okay? And boring things make money. Chainlink is the easiest way to describe it, and I've said this many times. It's like Cisco. So the internet runs because of Cisco. Do you ever see the CEO of Cisco talking? Do you ever hear about their products? Probably not, unless you go to an IT hardware store. So it just makes things work. That is what Chainlink does. It makes Web3 work, and it has multiple uses. It's an oracle. It has a product called CCIP, which is an interoperability protocol. And what that means is you can move an asset from blockchain A to blockchain B. They're integrated with Visa and MasterCard. They're integrated with the banks. They're integrated with Solana, Ethereum, Ethereum Layer 2s, XRP, Cardano. Everything runs through Chainlink. Everything. Now, it has competition. Pith, for example, when it comes to prices, that is a competitor of Chainlink. But Chainlink, and the reason I brought up the long-term chart, is Chainlink has been around, if we go back 7 years now, 8 years it's been around, okay? It's been around a long time. And the thing with Chainlink is that amount of time that it's existed has allowed it to build partnerships with all of these people. And I could bring up a nice diagram to show you the hundreds of projects they're involved with, but that's not the point. The point of the matter is they make money. Now, what do they do with that money? Chainlink and a lot of the projects that we're going to talk about today do this. Chainlink use a large proportion of their revenue to buy back their Link token. Now, I'm not a fan of this if it's done the wrong way. If you have a $10 billion project and you spend $200,000 a month buying back your token, it's not going to make the slightest bit of difference, okay? Even over a 5-year period. A good example of this is Crow on the Cronos chain. There are 100 billion Crow in existence, and their quarterly buyback and burn is 50 million. So every year they burn 200 million Crow, roughly. Over 10 years, that's going to do what? Burn 2% of the supply. Utter waste of time. Absolute waste of time. That money, that 200 million Crow, that would be better spent on the project building on the Cronos chain, for example. Now, BNB, that's the perfect example for Binanceans. The BNB burn is legendary, okay? It destroys the supply of BNB. BNB has very, very low emissions, and it's being burnt on a quarterly basis, and we're talking billions of dollars. That works. Chainlink isn't burning its token. What it's doing is it's creating a treasury of Link tokens. What they do with them in the future is a different thing. But they make a fortune. Their revenue is absolutely massive. So they are the market leader. So if we do this, if we go to oracles, for example, just to give you an idea, go to categories, go to oracles. So as an oracle on its own, if we ignore everything else, Chainlink is the biggest oracle, and it's bigger than every other oracle combined. So if we added up Potenza, if you look at the market cap, it's 12 billion. 8.6 billion of that 12 billion is Chainlink. There is only one, okay? And that is Chainlink. Everything else combined is what? It's 25% of Chainlink. It's the biggest one. So it's the biggest oracle. It has on and off ramps. It allows everything to move seamlessly between different blockchains. Wormholes used to get hacked. Chainlink fixed that with CCIP. So my number one pick is Chainlink. Now, what I'm not going to do, I'm not going to sit here and give you a price target for 2026. What I am going to tell you is what my price target was for 2025, and I'll stand by that for the next bull run. I believe Chainlink is an $80, maybe even $100 project. Now, that would put it from today about a 6x from where we are now. Now, the market cap is currently coming in at 12.25 billion. So I'm suggesting that this project is about a $75 billion project. I think that's pretty much a fair estimate of this project. And again, it's going to suffer the same way every other coin is going to suffer in line with Bitcoin. And irrespective of what I say, it doesn't matter. If Bitcoin goes to $70,000 in June, $80,000 in June, something like that, then Chainlink is going to go below $10. There's nothing I can say that's going to make any difference, okay? Chainlink follows the market. Crow follows the market. And the only coins that don't follow the market are new coins that are growing to their potential and coins with different partnerships. Maybe there's a new partnership between Visa and MasterCard and Hyperliquid, for example, would pump hype maybe another 20-30%. But apart from that, which are probably white swans, there's nothing I can say that's going to change the price. So my number one pick is Chainlink, and I'm going to spend less time talking about my other coins than I am talking about that one, because that is that's the big one for me. Now, we're going to go on. My next coin, and I have to pick this coin, not because I have to pick them for some legal reasons, but I have to pick them because this is the coin which, it didn't surprise me last year. I think what surprised me last year was the sheer amount of business development that they did. So, number one pick, Chainlink. Number two pick, Maple Finance. Now, most of these, in fact, I think 3 of these 5 picks are real-world asset projects. 2 of them are not. So Chainlink, I would put under real-world assets. Syrup, I would put under real-world assets. And the third one is going to go under real-world assets. So this is my second pick for this year. And again, revenue generation is the key. And the easiest way to describe this revenue generation is for me to bring up June analytics. So you've seen DeFi Llama. I've shown you DeFi Llama at the start. Tariq, I think, is in chat. Happy New Year, Tariq. See you in the next quiz, sir. So Maple Finance. This is the important 2 graphs for you to understand Maple Finance. Assets under management. How much assets, what assets growth have we seen with Maple Finance? And again, we do specials on this on Binance all the time. I'm not going to talk about this. If we go back to January 2025, we were at 538 million. 538 million. We are now at 4.6 billion. So, in 1 year, almost a 9x, 8x maybe, 8 to 9x. I know Villain Bear said in chat, what coins have 5x'd in 2025? Well, the assets under management of Maple Finance, 8-9x'd. Now, that's the first thing that's important to look at. This is the second thing that's important to look at. Monthly protocol revenue. 3 consecutive months where they broke above $2 million. And I think if we look back here, they had the preceding 5 months, they broke above $1 million. If we go back to January 2025, they were at $410,000. Their revenue at the end of December, so 12 months pretty much, they have, 6x'd their revenue. So 8 to 9x their assets under management, 6x'd their revenue. This is important to understand because The token price, believe it or not, is up 10% on the year. But again, that doesn't tell the story. It went as high as, what's that, about 60 cents, 62 cents in the summer. And again, it made a lot of people very, very happy. We partnered with Maple Finance, I believe. They were around about 13 or 14 cents. My target for Maple Finance was $1.20. We got halfway there on that initial rip in June 2025. Similar with Link, my target is still $80 to $100, gives it a $75 billion market cap. I'm talking about a $1.20 syrup. I'm not talking about a $6 syrup, because for me, a company doesn't just leap 20x in a year without something dramatic happened. And we can't deal in dramatics. But if you want dramatics, go and watch somebody else. We deal in what we think is sensible price targets. So I'm talking about Maple having a market cap of about $1.2 billion. That's it. A 4x from here. I don't think that's an unrealistic target. We got halfway there in the summer. My target of $1.20, I probably held from about April, May time. Once it was listed on Binance, for me, that was the $1 target was going to be the goal. Okay? Now, the reason we've gone for $1.20 is the market cap puts it at about $1.5 billion. And I think that is a fair valuation for a project that has $4.6 billion in assets under management, is now generating almost $3 million a month in revenue. Now, bear in mind, they have a very, very small team. That's a lot of money that they're generating, and they're using it to buy back Syrup tokens. They're another one very similar to Link, where they're creating a treasury, they're buying back their own token, and that is going to create the demand on a monthly basis to buy back the tokens. So for me, again, with as I said about Bitcoin at the start, I think Bitcoin is going to end the year higher than it starts the year. I think we're going to finish the year above $87,000. I think we've seen the majority of the move down. If that's the case, then I see Maple Finance finishing the year maybe at 50, 60 cents, back to the all-time highs where it was in the summer. I think we could see $20 for Link by the end of the year. Again, not massive numbers, but this is the bear market, and we are going to go down a lot further potentially between now and June if Powell stays. So the lows for me, if we look, the lows for me, we came down to 25 cents. I think 25 cents would be a good price to pick up Syrup. If you're one of the people that watched us and got in at 13 and 12 and 13 and 15, whatever price around here was, I think you've done incredibly well. We hold a lot of Syrup. We bought a lot of Syrup. Now, we did sell. We sold about here. We sold about 40 cents. We got nowhere near the top. But we managed to buy a lot of equipment with that. And then we managed to accumulate Syrup between, I think we started to buy the equipment in May. So between May and now, we've acquired a lot of Syrup. So we are picking Maple Finance, Syrup's token, number 2 choice. Number 1 choice is Link, number 2 choice is Syrup, and the third choice, and I can't not pick this project, because again, I keep putting the dollar sign on, and unfortunately, CoinMarketCap doesn't like it. This is my third pick, okay? Ondo is my third pick. Now, also, don't forget, if you're watching, make sure to smash the like button and give us a follow. I haven't asked you at all to do any of that. Danny, Happy New Year for you, Mike, the Oracle, and everybody at Crypto Warehouse. That was Tariq. Danny, I'm late. I'm working today. It's a bad day. It's a bad day at Crypto Warehouse Towers. The Oracle was singing Africa by Toto at 2 a.m. and I knew this was going to be a tough stream. But you know what? I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Now, if we look at the 1 year of Ondo, you're going to see an absolutely horrific chart. Down 72.5% for the year. Now, Maple is up 10% for the year. Not Ondo. I was buying Ondo at 80, 90 cents. I think the lowest I bought Ondo was about 60 or 70 cents. So I am deep in the red. But again, I don't care. I don't care. I've not bought Ondo to sell at 36 cents. Now, I had a far higher price target for Ondo. I was looking at about $10 for Ondo in the bull run. Not only did we not get there, we never really got much above $1. Okay? Now, we can talk about the supply. We can talk about the fact that there is a 30% circulating supply. We can look at that. I don't care about that. That's not what I care about. What I care about is picking projects that I think are going to win. Now, what does Ondo do? Let me bring it up. That'd be easier. And again, I think Ondo is listed on Binance as well. So I think you can get every token I'm talking about today, I think you can get on Binance. So I don't think I've picked anything that isn't listed on Binance. So Ondo are partnered with everybody that you need to partner about. Ondo global markets are now live on BNB chain. Okay, so this was the kind of the news that I think CZ was talking about this as well. Now, this is the bit that you need to pay attention to. BNB chain users can now access 100 plus tokenized stocks and ETFs. Ondo Global Markets, the world's largest tokenized stock and ETF platform by total value lot, has come to BNB. The integration provides BNB chain with its 3.4 million daily active users and extensive DeFi ecosystem, access to over 100 tokenized US stocks and ETFs. Real-world assets are one of the fastest-growing segments on the BNB chain, and having Ondo Finance join our ecosystem is another strong validation of that momentum. Together expanding, etc., etc. Now, what is important here is I talk a lot about SEXs becoming banks. So Binance becoming a bank. Binance becoming a financial institution. At the minute, if I said to you, name me a financial institution, you'd probably say BlackRock. You'd say Goldman Sachs. You'd say something like that. If I said to you, name me a crypto exchange, you'd probably say Binance. And those worlds are starting to merge and blur, and the lines are being blurred. Crypto exchanges are becoming banks. Banks are probably going to start buying out some of the smaller crypto exchanges, and the worlds are going to combine. Now, one of the things that Jupiter, Binance, and a few others are trying to do is they're trying to be all things to all men. And that's not a good thing, by the way. But it's not a good thing if you try and do it all yourself. Now, if you partner with Ondo, I'm trying to find if there is a list of tokenized stocks on here that I could show you. Products. There we go. Might be this one. Here we go. Okay. So, if you want to buy any of these stocks in front of you through Binance or BNB chain, Ondo will power that. So very much like Chainlink is powering the Oracle side and the flow of assets, Ondo is creating tokenized versions of all these stocks. You want to buy Apple, you can buy it through BNB chain. You want to buy IBM, I don't know why you would, but you'd buy it through BNB chain. And those assets would be via Ondo. So Whereas you've got Maple Finance, which is in it's a financial lending product where big financial institutions have partnered with Maple Finance over the last 12 months, Cantor Fitzgerald, Bitwise, people like that. Ondo, even though it's in the real world asset industry, or sector, sorry, it's a completely different product. So, I did do a few comparisons just to give you a benchmark, but Ondo and Maple Finance, the two, chalk and cheese. So Ondo will provide various different products. Another one that I really like is, I can never think of a good way of saying this, UZG. Okay, so what this does is you have $100,000 and you want to remove yourself from crypto. You could go and buy this institutional US Treasuries fund product. It will pay you 3.6% and it accumulates in value over time, clearly. So you can get 3.6% backed by US Treasuries. So for me, if we get rid of this and go back to the price, nothing on this screen matches with what Ondo did in 2025. Nothing. Okay? It's, for me, massively undervalued. 1.14 billion for this product. I think this is a $30-40 billion product. So that is back to the $10. I don't believe for 1 minute we're going to go anywhere near that until we get out of the bear market. But as I keep saying, I think these projects are going to finish the year higher than they started, because I don't think we're going to have that brutal bear market. Now, something to bear in mind, the midterm year is this year. 74% of the time after the midterms, the markets really pick up. Midterms are in October. So we could have October, November and December of the markets really pumping. We could sidle down, mosey on down to June, May, June. What happens in June, as well as the Fed chair resigning and Kevin being appointed, is we get the stimmy checks. Trump's basically going to bribe people to vote for him. So that's going to happen in June. Then the midterms finish in October. Then the markets pump. I would expect to see Ondo around 50 cents by the end of the year, maybe 60 cents. So again, not a ridiculously high target, but I'm not here to give you ridiculously high targets. Even my targets this year on a lot of the projects have not come to pass. Okay, I had what was my target for Ethereum? Was my target for Ethereum about $7,000 to $9,000? My Solana prediction was $600 to $1,000. I normally make a video about this. Haven't got around to making any videos at all yet. So we've not hit any of our targets. Bitcoin was the closest, but then nothing else has come close. Right, next project that we are going to look at, and we're going to start with this one, I think. So we've got Link, Syrup and Ondo, 3 real-world asset style projects. Remember, they have to make a profit, they have to have a real use case, and they have to have growth potential. Now, we're going to move away from real-world asset projects, and we're going to move into perps, dexes and perps, I think we'll call that. And my next one is Hyperliquid. Okay, now, I was not a fan of buying Hyperliquid at $60. And I said time and time again, I don't see this going to $100. I think $60 was a good price. If you got in down here, which was about $15 to $20, I think you did incredibly well. But I don't think this is going to go to $100 anytime soon. Now, I wouldn't buy Hype at $60 because I like the project and I like it a lot more at $25. But I'm going to like it a lot more below $20. And again, same thing again with everything I've talked about. If the market retraces and you can get your Hyperliquid at $15 to $20, that's a far better price than getting it at this price. But we don't always get what we want. Maybe $25 is the bottom, and it's still not a bad price. Now, The 1 year for Hype is actually up 7.6%. So this has actually had a very, very good year, all things considered. Bitcoin finished the year down, but Maple finished it up. Ondo is down 75%, but Hyperliquid is up. So some of these coins I'm picking have come down an awful long way. Others have actually had a better year than Bitcoin. So Hype is my my fourth pick. Now, I'm not going to bring it up either because I can't bring it up on Binance for obvious reasons. But Hype has the same type of mechanism that a lot of these projects have got. It has a buyback mechanism. The issue, I suppose, with Hype is the unlocking. So there are just under 1 billion Hype tokens. There's only 339 million in the circulating supply, but they're talking about burning and reducing the supply. Now, the one thing to bear in mind about that, if they keep reducing the supply and the market cap doesn't change, then the only thing that can happen is the price of the token goes up over time. So I've got to be very careful what I say because it's kind of like a DEX, even though it's got perps and things like that. I don't want to talk too much about this one. But Hyperliquid for me, that is my fourth pick. And then last pick, before I talk about my special mention, is this one. And you're all going to know which one this is because I've talked about this one before as well. And that is Aster. Now, Aster is... let me just wait for this to load. So Aster is up 720% over the year. Again, don't read into that too much. Simply because it didn't launch that far into this year. Did it? When did it launch? Yeah, it launched in September. So it's not been around the full year. You're expecting this kind of price action. This is nothing unusual, by the way. The price is going to rip, but there's been a massive unlock, massive airdrop. And to be at 69 cents is actually not bad. Now, I was buying Aster, I think, at $1. I did originally buy it on the pump, and I did sell it on the pump. And then I decided when it came back below $1 or around about $1, I started buying back in. Now, I don't have a price target for Aster. I don't have a price target for it. It's too new. It's been around 3.5 months. So I can't have a price target for a token that's been around 3.5 months. I don't know where it's going to go. Now, the big thing about Aster is, of course, it has ties with CZ. And anything that CZ touches, he's got quite a sensible head on his shoulders. He knows what he's talking about. He's been around the block 1,000 times. And anything with CZ in the background, and, you know, I'm not sitting here telling you that he's on the board or anything, but he's involved on some level with the project. Guidance, a phone call, a WhatsApp message, it doesn't really matter. He's helping the project. The Oracle met with some of the Aster team when he was in Dubai, and he spoke to them. We're probably going to do a few videos on Aster as well. So my fifth pick will be Aster. And again, I've got to be very, very careful not to mention too much about them because we can't really talk about DEXs and other sexes when we stream on Binance. It's not fair. So they are my 5 tokens that I have picked. I'm going to drop them into chat on here, and then I have another one. I've got a 6th one, which is a notable mention. Now, the reason this is a notable mention is it's absolutely brand new. I have no affiliation with this company whatsoever, but I think this is worth watching. And this is the Midnight Network, which is launched off the back of the Cardano ecosystem. And Charles has talked to death about this. It's kind of... Here's a good example. He calls it a 4th generation blockchain. And this is where you have privacy within reason, if that makes sense. Now, I am not a fan of Monero. I'm not a fan of Zcash. I don't believe there is a future for 100% privacy-based tokens. I just don't believe they fit in with the society that we live in. I don't. And because of that, I don't think there's any longevity in them. Monero, for example, I made a video about this 2 years ago. Binance was forced to remove it in 6 or 7 different countries because it was banned in those countries. It's not going to take very long for the EU to ban Monero and for the EU to ban Zcash. It's not. And then they'll be gone from Europe. And then maybe other countries will take, will follow suit. Maybe Brazil and South America will ban it. And then suddenly it kind of has a problem, because if you buy and sell Monero or Zcash with your own money, then your money is going to be tainted by that transaction. Now, what Midnight promises to do is have rational privacy. And we're not going to, this isn't a Midnight tutorial either. You can go and look at it. I will drop a link into chat. Now, this has only just launched. Okay? I'm going to go and bring up the chart now. This has only just made an appearance. So, we'll go for this first. So, freedom of association, connect without surveillance, own your vote, verify the outcome, own your identity, prove your credentials, and own your reputation. Port your history across dApps. Now, I've seen all kinds of companies try and do this in the past, and it's all failed. There are great ideas out there, but never got any traction. So, you can use this for commerce. You can use it for expression. It's set up for integration. Charles is talking about integrating this with the Ledger. He's talking about integrating this with Ethereum and with Solana. And this is the big one. Now, again, Cardano hasn't done exceptionally well. And I don't know for certain that Midnight is going to do very well either. I can't say that because I don't know. The token itself is sitting here at 8 cents. Why Binance and other platforms did not join the Midnight airdrop? That's a really good question. And the answer is, to get access to the airdrop, you had to have your Cardano staked natively on the chain. Now, that is not what we were told. We were told that Cardano Foundation, or whoever it was, the Midnight team, they were working with exchanges to do an airdrop of 2 different tokens. There was Midnight and there was the other one. And that's the information that we had as well. We were under the impression, based on the information that we were given, that if you had your Cardano, for example, staked with Binance or staked with a different SEX, that you would get the night airdrop. And then the airdrop happens, and then nobody with staked Cardano on Binance got any airdrop. I didn't get an airdrop. I know Packer asked, actually, did I get an airdrop? Because I think Packer set up his account directly on the Cardano network to get an airdrop. I was under the impression, based on the facts that we were given, that simply put, we were just going to have to sit there and wait. My Cardano has been staked. Hang on a second. My phone's going off. My Cardano has been staked for 3 years since we bought it. January 2023. We bought our Cardano for our $15,000 portfolio. It's still staked. And we didn't get an airdrop. So we are mightily, mightily upset. Now, the reason I think you should watch Midnight is the circulating supply and total supply. I don't think all the airdrops have happened yet, number one. But the majority of it is dropped. It's only got a $2 billion market cap. If it lives up to its potential, it could go a lot higher. If it doesn't live up to its potential and they fail with this, it's clearly going to go to zero. So this isn't in my top 5 by any means, but it's a coin that I think you should keep an eye on. And I think it's a small enough market cap that it can finish the year higher than it starts the year. And I think it's going to do pretty well. Now, I have just realised the time is 11:04. Now, I'm going to recap, full screen recap, while I bring up Binance chat. Okay, give me 1 second to bring up Binance Square because I've not had it open. Now, one other thing. I said yesterday that we would be doing an airdrop. Oh, not an airdrop, sorry. We would be doing red boxes on Binance Square. And we haven't. And the reason we haven't is, simply put, there's only me. There's only me. The Oracle is still sleeping. It's New Year, and New Year's Eve we celebrated. So I can't drop a lot of what I want to talk about into chat, but I can drop the tokens, I think, into chat. Let's make sure they go through. There we go. Right, so I've dropped the tokens into chat that we've talked about today. I've dropped them into YouTube. I've dropped them into Binance. We have a comment on Binance Square. It's quiet in here. It's quiet in here because it's New Year's Day. Okay. Yesterday we had 250,000 views watching this stream on Binance Square. Today we have about 15 or 16,000. It's New Year's Day. I don't know what you expect. Okay. Some people are still recovering from the night before. Okay. So yeah. Just bear that in mind, okay? We have agreed to stream to provide you with a friendly face, okay? That should be all you need, okay? So less of the negativity, okay? That's what we're going to have a different year in 2026. We're going to have less negativity. Criticism, fine, okay? But casual observations like that aren't going to get you anywhere. It makes you look silly. Now, thank you, Tariq. Thank you to, who else is here? Danny. Thank you to Villain Bear is here. Manjeet is here. Solo Sky is here. Daniel is here. We will be doing more giveaways and more quizzes in the new year. Okay? We will. But, as I said before, Daniel asked why we didn't do any more quizzes or giveaways. The Oracle didn't get back from Dubai until the 15th or 16th of December. I had 2 eye operations on the 9th and the 11th of December, so I was pretty much out of action. That put us out for about 2 weeks. We've got a Maple Finance quiz, we have a Christmas quiz, and we have a New Year's quiz. Those 3 things did not happen. They did not happen, and they will happen, but they're just going to happen next week. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Remember to smash the like button and give us a follow on the way out. And we will see you all. Today is, what's the date today? Well, today is Thursday. So tomorrow I will probably go back to streaming at the normal time. I did mention Crow. I mentioned Crow before you appeared. I have talked about Crow. So... oh, we did, well, if it depends what you're talking about. We did the Wolfies quiz as well. But anyway, I'm going to go. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Happy New Year, everybody. Enjoy 2026, and hopefully it will be as good a year as 2025. Take care.